There is a very knowledgeable and interesting book in the Bible written by King Solomon, a very wise king known for his wisdom, known for his riches, and he is being compared, a king known for his wisdom, and nobody has been like him till now. In his old age, the wise man wrote a book named Ecclesiastes, which means vanity, or it is also named as the preacher of the assembly. He spoke and wrote all the experiences that he had in his life and the knowledge that he imparted, which was written. And I, as a human, felt it is so important as we go and advance in our age in life, that what you feel as a young person is different when you become a middle-aged person. Things become different. And then when a person becomes really very old, they do not know what actually is the old age and how you could be treated. You could be a very wise, very rich person, but maybe in the old age, you may not be valued much for anything that you have done. So he writes, any amount of prosperity, position, power, anything which brings glory to the man from the perspective of a human race in the age when you catch up as an older person, it means nothing. Because if there is no God in your heart, then it is futile. He further writes that when the person is young and in full prosperity, he gains a lot of profits, lot of money he earns through his wisdom, and then the profits that he gains in life brings him a lot of prosperity. And in that prosperity, slowly a person becomes so engrossed in his work and moving further more and more, that makes him slowly and slowly away from God. Therefore, he explains it later, that from where the connection between the man and his prosperity makes him go little and little slowly away from God. In the prosperity, one forgets said that whatever is here was always here. You have not gained anything much. Only you have felt. He gives an example of a river. The river is fast and in full force is running towards the sea, and it enters the sea. But the sea is never full. All the rivers go into the sea or the oceans, but they are never full. The reason is that with the heat of the sun, the evaporation takes place, the clouds are formed, the clouds again change into snow or rain. And then the same water becomes the river again. There is no memory in the water that it had flown before. It was there. It had gone through rough stones, rough mountains, into dirt, into stagnant waters. People have polluted them before it reaches the sea again. No memory is left in that. The process was there, and it has been there for years and years and ages. We have been here, we will go away. But the river keeps flowing. Anything that the man accumulates here as a profit, whatever he has earned as his gains, with time are turned into ruins. We keep searching for certain monuments, certain palaces, even the palace of Nebuchadnezzar, a great palace made by king. Only some boundaries are left. Its glamour, its grandeur, and everything which has been described is only in description. It was there, it is gone. Something else will come over it. And this has been always happening on the surface of the earth. Nothing stays, and no memory stays. Memories are gone. He again says about the wisdom. He says, I asked for wisdom and God gave me knowledge and wisdom. I used it. And with wisdom, King Solomon made the most beautiful temple, in which he got the best wood of Lebanon, the best people to carve on the woods, the stones with beautiful carvings, gold, silver, mining were done. So much of hard work was put. The precious stones from the quarry, the stones were brought down. It is not an easy job to bring the stones and then from the quarry cut them, carve them, and make a beautiful temple. He made the first temple of Jerusalem. And when he made it, so many labors were put to task. And he writes, with the knowledge and wisdom, misery and pain started. So much misery came to the people who worked hard, cutting the wood, bringing the wood down, bringing the stones, and doing the carvings, going to the quarries. In those times, the people who were in jail, for small things, they used to put them in jail, because from there then they would be sent as slaves to the quarries for work. They would never come out alive. Families were broken. Men were put to task. They died. So much misery and pain came with wisdom and knowledge. So he says, what is it? It is like chasing a wind. No one will remember. Today, the original temple of Solomon is not there. The original was a marvelous piece of art. Later on, the second temple was made by King Herodes. So he says now that what did wisdom brought? Wisdom brought agony, misery, and pain. So what is there to get so much of wisdom? Again, it is like chasing a wind. When he made such a big temple and lot of praises he was getting, he wanted to become a grand man, living a grand life like everybody does now also. When you earn a lot of money, you start making more bigger houses for yourself. You may come from a small house to a bigger and more bigger houses, in which, like Solomon had the pools, he had the dance floors where the women with flimsy clothes would dance, the wine house, the places for the wives and various concubines, a lot of womanizing, the gay dances, everything was happening. So when wisdom brought so much of wealth, it became the living standards with more and more powerfully placed person to be shown. The entertainment started with this. The entertainment that started became more and more wild, not pleasing to God at all. Then more slowly away from God the wisdom had taken. And in the power to live a more wonderful life with more power, like when a person becomes very powerful, they keep throwing a lot of parties, a lot of bigger people comes to their homes and to attend. This is done to please people also and show their power. These power parties are thrown even today with all vulgarity. More and more vulgarity, more and more modern they are supposed to be known, and high standards. It is still there. But more and more away from God a person goes. Solomon said that. Then he realized that so much toiling that was done, so much hard work was done. For what? Now, after me, somebody else is going to inherit it. There is always eyes on the head of a wise person, but the fool walks in the dark. The moment sunlight comes, the darkness is gone. Suppose all the hard work, all the toil, and all the gain and the profits and all those beautiful palaces, gold, silver, big treasury, so much of wealth, gold, silver, and these gems, everything, the floors, the walls were plastered with gold. If so much hard work was done to bring this, suppose the one who inherits all this is the one who walks in the darkness. All the toiling, all the hard work will go waste. You have no guarantee. One person makes it, the other generation may keep it or not keep it. That fear is always there in the person. Will he increase it or ruin it? Therefore he says, what did my wisdom did? Why did I create so much? Futile. More away I went from God. While he was talking about all these things, he was much disturbed. And he felt, now that I am an old man, I was known for my wisdom. I was known for my wise ways. People would come to me for their advices. Now that I am an old man, if one wrong I do, I will be known as a fool. All my good deeds, all my wisdom, all my toiling, all my wisest ways that I used, that my kingdom goes into prosperity, with one wrong step that I take, all the things will be forgotten, completely forgotten. I will die as a foolish dies. This is what happens in life. This is what he was telling. That you may be any amount of hard work you have put in to see that your children inherit very good and lot from you. Is it really necessary to do that much? Because in doing that, while you're making so many arrangements, while you're doing so many parties, while you're making so many arrangements for people to come over to your house, to the palace, and the dances and wickednesses to be served to the people, to make them feel comfortable and amuse them and please them, in that you were annoying God. God was getting further and further and further away from you. So what is the point? Nothing will be there for you. You were chasing a wind. King Solomon says, I was chasing the wind. It will not be in my hand. I did wrong in doing all that. And this he realized when he was old and he was not getting that kind of respect for his wisdom. He was not even considered later on to take any kind of advice for. This is what happens. This happened with the Indian king Akbar also. He had so many boys. They were fighting among themselves. In his last days, he was all alone. Both his wives and his mother, who was the best companion he had, who was his greatest advisor. We call him Akbar the Great. But when he died, no one was with him. Since long, no one was with him. He was a very wise king, but no advice. This advice had already stopped being taken from him. He died alone in a room with his musician whom he had asked to play. King Solomon also created a lot of music. Art, craft, music was in his agenda always. Many musicians, many craftsmen he brought. Because of the dances, the nude dances, the musicians and all were there. That took him further and further and further away. And in his last days, he was alone. And then he wrote that from the human perspective, what is wealth? What is prosperity? What is popularity? Nothing. It has no meaning if God is not with you. Therefore, be careful while you are in this world, in any age that you are. Listen to this. Do anything, any amount of work you do, any amount of things you do, the part of your life that you have given to God, do not spend it on any other thing but God. In the morning and the evenings, whenever you find time, keep it precious. Never leave God from your life. Never let God be so annoyed with you that he leaves you alone. That I read. And then I wrote this. And I felt right from the childhood to the middle age, as young person, and then as old people, when we become very, very old, one thing is that never ever leave God. The time that you have got for God should always be very precious. Whether you have time for other things or not, but the time that you have kept for God should always be there. And be careful not to leave God, or don't annoy him so much that he leaves you. This I read, then I wrote this. It was written by his experience by King Solomon, the great King Solomon. Thank you so much for watching. This is Anita Binepal from Missouri. Do like, subscribe and share my channel. Words of Wisdom decoded by Anita Binepal. Thank you so much and God bless you and good night.